Hi, I'm Kayla, the booktube turtle. Today I'm going to be doing my summer wrap-up and my fall TBR. So I read a total of 16 books in the months of June, July, and August. So what I'm going to be doing is going through each one, but I'm not going to go into detail about the books that I've already talked about in previous videos, but I will link all of those videos below. So if there's a book that already has a review up, I'll link that review. Some of these I've talked about in my summer TBR and my booktube-a-thon TBR, so all of those videos will be linked below. And at the end, I'm going to do a kind of quick list of some of the books I want to read this fall. I'm going to go through these in the order that I read them. Okay, I read 4 books in June. The first book I read was Lord of Shadows. Seems like so long ago, but I mean, I guess it really was only 3 months ago. But it feels like so much longer than that. Anyway, Lord of Shadows is the second book in the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. It is the sequel to Lady Midnight. I've got a 2-part discussion on this book that includes a spoiler-free. All of my discussion videos include spoiler-free sections, so you can check that out if you haven't read this yet. So next I read The Mod Code and the Golden Order by Heidi Tankersley. I talked about these in my Kindle recommendations video, which I'll link. These are the first and second books in what I believe is going to be a trilogy, but I'm not entirely sure. But the third book isn't out yet, and I think there's just 3. I don't know though. It's about genetic modification. Honestly, I don't really remember them all that much. Yeah. Next, I read Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the sequel to Illuminae, the science fiction series. It's told in a very unique format, so it's like a compilation of like different files and documents, where it includes things like interviews and emails and security footage and things like that, so just that alone made the story really interesting. I have a review and discussion for this one as well. Next, I tried to read The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. I'm not counting it in my total count of 16 because I only got like 15% into it before I DNF'd it. If you want to know why, I have a spoiler-free review talking about the things I didn't like about the story. So yeah, then we come to July, where I read 9 books because of booktube-a-thon. The first book I read in July was If I Wake by Nikki Moyes. I actually don't have a video about this one, so I can tell you about it. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. This book was about a girl who falls asleep and has these dreams that happen all throughout different times in history, and there's always this same boy that's there, and she's not really sure if it's all in her head or if it's like somehow really happening. I mean, overall, it was an okay book. It wasn't like my favorite thing ever, but I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. Next, I read The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. This series, I loved this book. I have a full review and discussion on it. I finished reading the second book, which I'm going to talk about later, a couple days ago, so it's still like in my head. I actually just filmed the review video for that like a couple hours ago, so it's still very fresh. I've talked about it before, but it's about a girl whose 2 best friends and her boyfriend died in an accident when a building collapsed, so she's dealing with all of that, and there's also all of these weird, strange things that start happening to her. It's a very creepy story, but it's so good. Then we get into the booktube-a-thon books. As I said, I will link my TBR below, and I'm also going to link my vlog. The first book I read for booktube-a-thon was Caravelle by Stephanie Garber. I'm not really going to talk about it here. I have a whole review video that I just did on it, so you can check that out below. Next, I read The Girl in Between by Late-Game Kemp. This is also a book about a girl who has dreams. She falls asleep and she's not sure if it's real or just all in her head. Except she will fall asleep for like weeks at a time, where she's just out. Like, basically in a coma, and then she wakes up and she's like in the hospital. Then I read What's Left of Me by Kat Zhang. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. This book had a really interesting concept. I probably talked about it in my TBR video, but I'm gonna break it down here too. It's set in this world where everybody is born with like 2 souls in one body, but one of those souls eventually becomes dominant and the other one just kind of fades away. But then there's hybrids, where one of them is still dominant, but the other one doesn't leave. They're still there. So these 2 characters are still in the same body, and they're not supposed to be, because they're seen as a danger to society because of the contradictions going on within one like physical person. Then I read The Dark Prophecy by Riordan, which is the sequel to The Hidden Oracle and part of the Trials of Apollo series. I've talked about this book a lot too. But yes, this was so good. I mean, it's a Percy Jackson book. It can't not be good. Then I read Because You Love to Hate Me. Oh, look how beautiful this book is. It's so pretty. I loved this book. I loved it. If you don't know, this is a collection of short stories where 13 different authors teamed up with 13 different booktubers to write little stories about villains. And so it was just so cool to be able to go through all of these stories and read from all these different authors and also read the little sections from the booktubers. Then I read Every Hearted Doorway by Shannon McGuire. The book is super short, like not even 200 pages, so it won't take you very long to like knock it out. The last book I read for booktube-a-thon was Dying to Forget by Trish Marie Dawson. Then we get to August, where I only read 3 books. But I mean, I had a lot going on in August because I had to move into my college dorm, and then college started, and there was a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't have as much time to read. One of them was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Oh, it was so good. 5 out of 5 stars. If you don't know, Crooked Kingdom is the sequel and conclusion to the Six of Crows duology. Look at these books. Look at these pages. I love that about these books. Anyway, I'm gonna set them down now because they're heavy. If you don't know, the Six of Crows follows these 6 characters who are basically all criminals in some way or another, and they kind of have to learn to work together because they have to perform this heist. And the second book, Crooked Kingdom, kind of follows the aftermath of that, but it's so complex and clever, and it was just it was so good. So good. It usually takes me like half the book to actually get into it because of how descriptive and slow it is, but it's like one of those things that you finish it and you're just like, that was worth it. Like, I'm glad I read that. Then I tried to read Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Madsen. I only got a few chapters in, and I probably will pick it up again. It's just, I think a lot of it was timing. I had just moved into my dorm when I decided to start reading this, and I don't know, I just couldn't get into it, and I feel like a lot of it was I just wasn't in the mood for a contemporary book, and I wasn't getting anywhere, and I was really frustrated with it. But what I read was good. It wasn't good for like the moment, so I feel like I will eventually go back to it and read it. But yeah, I'm not including it in my total count since I didn't finish it. I read Little Monsters by Cara Thomas. This book, I read it because it was the August Booksplosion book of the month, so I didn't really know too much about it going in. It was just the Booksplosion book, so I was going to read it. But wow, it was amazing. Definitely 5 out of 5 stars for me. It's kind of like a psychological thriller, and it's really twisted and dark, and it keeps you guessing the whole time. You never really know what's going on, and you think you know, but then something happens and then you don't know. Oh, it was so good. Like, I finished this book like a week or something ago, and I'm still thinking about it. So this girl, Casey, moves to a small town to live with her dad and his family. And she's been there for like about a year, I guess. But she becomes really close friends with these 2 girls. And at the start of the story, one of them goes missing. And a lot of people in the town start to suspect her, the main character. It was so good. I could not put it down. I read it super fast because I was just like, I gotta figure out what's gonna happen. The last book I read this summer was The Evolution of Mara Dyer, also by Michelle Hodkin. It's the second book in the Mara Dyer trilogy. Like I said, I just filmed the review for it earlier, so the review is coming. I love this series so much more than I thought I was going to. It's just the characters are so great and the plot is so complex and intricate and twisted. And I love it. I'm gonna stop talking about that now. I just spent like an hour doing a book review on it. I shouldn't have any more to say, but I want to talk about it all the time because it was so good. Now I'm gonna list off some of the books that I plan to read during September, October, and November. The thing about TBRs, I don't like feeling like I have to read certain books, so I'm only gonna list a few that I know I really want to get to. But I mean, I'm obviously going to read way more books that are on this list, just like I did with summer, and here they are. The first one is The Retribution of Mara Dyer, the 3rd and final book in the Mara Dyer trilogy. I just got this from the library a couple hours ago. You can already tell I'm 3 chapters in because I started reading it as soon as I got home. I need to know how it ends. I'm so excited. but also kind of scared because I don't know what kind of ending it's gonna be, and I don't know if I can handle a sad ending. Next, I want to read The Darkest Corners by Cara Thomas, and I plan to read all the Booksplosion books for these next 3 months. The September book is The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken. October's book is A Short History of the Girl Next Door by Jared Reck. And November is the third book in the Magnus Chase series by Riordan, so I'm going to be reading all 3 of those books in the next couple months because I haven't read any of that series yet, so I gotta get on that. So that's gonna be it for the summer wrap-up and fall TBR. Let me know down below what books you've read recently and what books you're planning to read in the upcoming months. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!